I'm going in my fourth year. Like, though then my fourth year will start. I did a like 70-80 video playlist on C++. I spent like 2-3 months on it. I landed 2 internships at the same time. And I was having real anxiety or कि internship कैसे लगेगी, and I'll be finished if I don't get an internship.
So let's dive into this main internship, the Irish startup that you've gotten into from the start. How did you find the company? How did you apply?
My LinkedIn looks like I have just listed a bunch of skills that I have mainly through the cohort. And the fortunate thing was I applied it at like 4 o'clock in the night, and 4:15 said they stopped the application. So I had only 40 to 50 applicants to compete with.
Alright, hi everyone. Today we have Chaitanya. He's a student of cohort 2 and has cracked an internship at an Irish startup remotely. We'll understand his journey. How did he get this internship while he's in college? How did he learn his primary tech stack? All that jazz. Without any further ado, Chaitanya, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Hello, I am Chaitanya. I am in Maharaja Agrasena, and it's a tier 3 college. I'm an ECE student, and the funny story about myself is that I wanted to do engineering since I was in third, which is a pretty weird thing to do because
It's pretty weird.
because I didn't want to do software engineering. I wanted to do automobile engineering. Okay,
Okay.
and like I have my drawings and I had my trademark ready and whatnot, and I was thinking of becoming the next celebrity automobile designer or whatnot since like 8th or 9th. And
Okay.
that was a bit about me, but eventually I got into a group in second year. People motivated me to just tinker around with computers, that is the culture on our campus. So I started deep diving into computers, trying to learn about computers. Did DSA very aggressively because I didn't know what to do, and everyone was doing DSA, and everyone was telling me to do DSA. कि C++ सीख जा भाई, then do DSA, you'll be settled. So I was ठीक है, I'll do DSA. I started doing DSA very aggressively in second year. Then in third year I started with JavaScript full stack development.
Got it. Makes sense. And you're currently in your?
I'm going in my fourth year. Like, though then my fourth year will start.
Got it. Makes sense. Sounds pretty reasonable. Tell me more about. So you said you started to learn DSA first, and then you got into dev. Let's quickly go through your DSA journey. How did you start to learn DSA, and where did you learn from?
So I started. The thing was कि I didn't know what to learn, how much to learn. Like I didn't know about the 80-20 principle and whatnot. Whatever the terminologies are. I started learning C++ very deeply. I did a like 70-80 video playlist on C++. I spent like 2-3 months on it. I don't think it was the right approach, but I did it. Then I started doing lead code and code studio and code chef kind of questions from picking it up from various DSA sheets on the web.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay, you did this for a year and then you started to do dev. So let's go through your dev journey next.
The thing was, I was getting pretty bored of DSA. Like,
makes sense.
Even now, I have a lead code profile which has like 350 plus questions. I can do DSA well. If I pick it up, I might be able to do it in 2 to 3 weeks again. But the thing with DSA is I got pretty bored of it very quickly. Not anything against people who do DSA or competitive programming, but that's just my opinion. Other than that, dev का क्या था कि I just started it because everyone told me कि भाई web DSA कर लो, web D कर लो, you'll make bunch of 3-4 projects, resume में list करो and get into a company or something. ठीक है, तो I did it. Dev के अंदर I started with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This time what happened was I was in a different group now, and these people were already doing Monstack from the first year. So one guy was doing it after he gave his JE. So he was already doing it since a long time. I got into this group. They guided me better ki how much to learn, because that was the biggest mistake I did when I started learning C++. I feel they told me ki learn this much of HTML, CSS, learn this much of JavaScript, you'll be good to go. At least you can make modern looking landing pages. And then I realized, okay, if they already know a lot about this, so I should follow their advice. I did a bit of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that jazz, and started building landing pages for these guys. simple landing pages, sometimes bold hero sections, and tried to follow all the UI stuff. I found front end pretty interesting initially, then started doing React. Like 10 months ago, I started doing React, did it pretty heavily, did it very aggressively, and then I started doing backend. But the thing I realized was that basically placements are approaching very quickly. I was in third year at this point, so the problem was ki I needed a structured way of doing things, and I had watched your videos previously, and followed you on Twitter or whatnot. So I knew that people were buying this cohort, and let's get into it, because it would give me a structured way to learn things. Then I started learning backend development. I didn't focus much on the React journey. That's why I think I was able to skim through the cohort very quickly, because I was putting 10, 12, 14 hours a day for like a stretch of 8 months every day.
Oh wow.
So I did your cohort pretty aggressively. I finished 0 to 1, did a bunch of Next.js stuff, and the funny thing was I knew React, and we started a project. These guys, which I'm talking about, I was building React apps by myself at this point, but they told me कि भाई we are building this project. उनके दिमाग में फर्स्ट ईयर से था, तो they said कि भाई ऐसा करो, learn Next.js, try to learn Next.js कुछ time लो, and even pick up TypeScript, because we want this project to be our main selling point in our resumes or whatnot. So I said, okay, I'll try to learn it. And then I just bought your cohort. The first video I watched was the 14th week lecture of Next.js and stuff. Like you taught about file-based routing and all whatnot. So I picked up that video, studied Next.js for a day or two, tried to, obviously I didn't finish it completely, but how to migrate from React to Next as a beginner. And then picked up a TypeScript video, tried to understand, okay, how do you create interfaces types, how do I resolve these type errors, okay, that I'm facing currently. So then I just started building that project, and I think that moment it clicked that I don't need to learn a lot of concepts. I can just build on the go, and while building these projects I'll learn much more than just watching a video then trying to apply it, watching a video then trying to apply it. So that is how that was my turning point somewhat.
Got it. Makes sense. So these are your batchmates that are building these set of projects that you guys are building.
Right.
Got it. Makes sense. Cool. So now tell me, how did you? So is this your first internship that you just landed?
No, I actually landed. The funny thing is, I landed 2 internships at the same time. I worked at this first internship for like 3 weeks. Didn't like the culture, so I left. The second internship I landed was this one. So they asked me that, have you done any internships before? There was one, scammy internship I did before. I don't want to mention it obviously, but it was not even relevant to this. So I told them, yes, honestly, that no, I haven't done many technical internships before this. So this would be my first proper technical internship. They said, okay, cool.
Makes sense.
I will get back to you by the end of the day or something like that.
Cool. Let's start. So let's dive into this main internship, the Irish startup that you've gotten into from the start. How did you find the company? How did you apply?
One thing, I am very lucky, I think. कृपा थी, I'll say. क्योंकि क्या था कि I have a pretty bad sleeping habit. So what happened? I was awake at this, and I was having real anxiety or कि internship कैसे लगेगी, and I'll be finished if I don't get an internship. What am I doing with my life and whatnot? So all that was hitting me, and then I was frantically applying to many places like people do. So I found this startup, ironically on LinkedIn. I don't know how did I find it on LinkedIn, but I was awake at like 4 a.m. in the night, and I was building a side project because I like it. And then I found this internship opportunity, applied on it. The next day, the founder approached me. So I got very frantic. Oh my, this has never happened to me. How the founder is approaching me, and he said that we liked your profile. We would like to hop on a call with you.
So what's your profile? Just to get some context, what does your LinkedIn look like right now?
My LinkedIn looks like I have just listed a bunch of skills that I have mainly through the cohort. Other than that, I listed like React, and as a front end developer I was open to working as a front-end developer before the cohort, because I knew React pretty well. I'll say pretty well.
Got
Like
it.
I knew how to write custom hooks, and you know, and I had some knowledge about portals and whatnot. So I thought I can land something as a front-end developer. But then I
Got it.
dove into full stack development. So then, since then, I just changed, added a headline with all the major tech stacks I know, or
Got it. So
I
LinkedIn just
do.
has a bunch of tech stacks, not
Mhm.
any projects or any internships,
I
nothing like
did
that. That's
write,
all that.
like I started this process of learning in public was a trend then. So I started posting these projects, like the final bits of
Got
it,
it.
like the live links deployed on Vercel or Render or whatnot, on LinkedIn, along with my daily learning journeys I was getting through the cohort or otherwise. I also wrote technical blogs. I also write technical blogs sometimes on Medium and Hashnode. Other than that, I was also posting about so there are bubble programs around open source. The thing with me was I joined cohort pretty late, in like March or something. So by that point of time, I don't know, we were on 17th 18th week. So the problem with that was I didn't know much of backend, and I didn't know much of Next.js. So I couldn't contribute to CMS or daily code. So I started looking for open source programs or communities, and I wasn't confident enough to approach people, because there were already people who were active in the Discord who were pretty
Right.
smarter than me at that point of time. So I knew much more than me in their respective tech stacks. So I wasn't very confident to approach them, but I built up that confidence through other communities where I felt like I can be a part of. Tried to dive in their code bases, took us, and eventually I landed in a position that, due to the knowledge I got through the cohort or otherwise, in this time period, I could guide them better. I can say that you can do. Ki bhai, do this, you will get something. You can build projects,
Right.
enjoy the process of project building and whatnot. So I was able to lead them. I volunteered as a mentor in one of these programs, and then from there I got the confidence of talking to people, and hosted some of these sessions on Discord itself, created a server and community around it, and started posting about these sessions that I'm taking. Tried to attend meetups and hackathons that were happening in Delhi NCR region, and from there I built a community and started networking with people. So that gave me a lot of confidence to post on LinkedIn. That's why they like my profile. They said.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Great. Continue.
Okay. So other than that, basically TLDR was that it had Medium blogs that I wrote. Some of them were in TypeScript, some of them were in Next.js. Basically things that piqued my interest. Okay.
Right.
So, and the other thing was I created projects, deployed it on Vercel, listed my GitHub repository for code reviews, got some feedback from it too, tried to create a small dev tool, a simple CLI that can help people set up their projects in turbo repos. For example, there is this thing in turbo repos that uh, m- called multi-language support. So I tried exploring that. So basically, you have to write a top-level Node script, because turbo repo doesn't allow anything. It tries to
Right.
basically orchestrate everything through, like, it's JavaScript or TypeScript. So I thought of how to tackle that problem. I created a simple basic CLI. It might be a shitty CLI. It got some downloads on NPM, and I got some reviews from that. So that was all I was uploading on LinkedIn or Twitter at this point, and started. And I was thinking that LinkedIn is getting too crowded and too polluted. So I started posting on Twitter, tried to build a community there, and I was still posting weekly updates rather than daily updates on LinkedIn.
Nice. Very cool. So they liked your profile based on all of this posting. What happened then?
They approached me, said ki we like your profile. Other than that, we like your resume. We like the projects you have listed. They liked that I wrote a proper cover letter, DM the founder after this. So they said ki we liked your confidence. We would like to hop on a call with you. And the fortunate thing was I applied it at like 4 o'clock in the night, and 4:15 said they stopped the application. So I had only 40 to 50 applicants to compete with in during
Right.
that time frame. So I'll say I might be the better one amongst them. So
Got it.
then we hopped on a call. They asked me technical questions. I had a behavioral round. I got it.
Amazing. Technical questions. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what that
Yeah.
was?
So what the thing was the thing was that this company was migrating their code base from desktop to web, as I mentioned.
Okay.
So their front end was in React. So mostly the questions they asked me, because the primary tasks that I've been given right now are to work on the
Sure.
front end. They had a submodule which is on Webpack and pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Other than that, they have their primary front end, the reporting server on React. Other than that, they have a backend in Golang and have a service on Node.js. So they tested me out mainly for the skills that I listed. I didn't know Golang well. I didn't know it. I don't know it well even now. I just started learning it. So I told them a bit about Golang. Like I know about this term called Go routines and concurrency. So I tried to explain them that. So they were impressed that I'm even telling them about stuff which is which I haven't even listed in the resume. So they asked me, if you know this much about this stuff that you even haven't listed in the resume, so uh, so then that's a pretty good green flag for them. So I said ki that's just a bit of general technical curiosity I've developed over the past 8-9 months. So yeah, so that helped me, I think.
Amazing. This is great. And so it's one technical interview, one behavioral interview, and then you're in.
Yeah, it was not a separate interview. So the call had the CTO and the CEO. The CTO basically grilled me for my technical knowledge. They asked from pure HTML, like they asked ki how they asked me to rank myself on the basis of 1 to 10 and on what I know in that specific language. I tried to undersell myself, even though I thought I knew more. I tried to place myself low, because the thing with these guys is that they know much more about the code base and the thing they are working in. So I can't go there and boast about my skill set to them, because they would know
Right.
much more about the thing they are building and the tech stack
Right.
they are working in, and they are people who are experienced since 11-12 years. So I can't be boastful in front of them. So that was my thinking. That's why I like even if I could place myself at a 9 in React or an 8 in React, even I placed myself at a 6 or a 7, because
Nice. It's very good.
and other than that, they asked me where would you rank yourself in pure HTML. Although HTML seems pretty easy, but the thing
Yeah.
was that there are a lot of tags I haven't even explored. So I told
Right.
them I told them honestly that if I encounter a tag that I have to use, I'll just Google it. Pretty
Right.
honestly, it was a pretty honest and clear interview from me, that this is all I
Nice.
know. This is all you can ask me, and I think that helped. That honesty and that underselling myself helped in some form of
That's
manner.
a very underrated point that you've put out. Okay. People don't care. Like as long as you're candid, and you're clear about this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and underselling, as you said, is a great point. People hate when you're boasting. If you get caught right boasting, it's a immediate reject. Versus, if you're being humble about it, it's actually a green flag. Amazing. Cool. So you're now joined this company. What are your future plans? How long is this internship?
It's a 6-month internship with the
Okay.
possibility of extending and maybe a PPO. They
Got
say.
it. To like a full time offer or like extending the internship?
They are open to extending the internship till the end of my college if I perform well in this
Nice.
6-month period. Other than that, they are open to giving me a PPO eventually if I perform well.
Perfect. So
The
are you sitting on campus placements then, or like are you done with campus placement? What's your plan?
The thing is, I'm a bit puzzled about campus placements, because companies are coming to our campus, even though it's tier 3. I don't know why is it called tier 3, but yeah. So they are coming to on campus, and I can revise my DSA skills a bit, like by chucking it all off and focusing on DSA for like 2-3 weeks and focusing on my internship probably, because but the thing is. The thing with me is that I don't want to go in an enterprise company. I want to work with, that is what they asked me to in the behavioral round with the CEO. He asked me that why should we trust you to not leave for Google or Adobe or D shop when it comes, when shit hits the fan. Why should we trust you? You can
Right.
abandon us in 1 month. You'll say ki, okay, I'm resigning now. 1 month ka notice period hai. You give me the stipend till the end of month and I'm off. Why do we trust you? We want a person who's passionate about the project as much as we are. Okay, so they say so that I explained to them that I want to work with people who are much more relatable and approachable to me eventually, because then I get to learn a lot from them. these the enterprise companies are obviously a lucrative opportunity when it comes to exposure and meeting with people, but you can say it's a mindset
Debatable.
I borrowed through the cohort, or
Mhm.
otherwise, but I have been targeting remote opportunities since the last 8 to 9 months.
Nice, makes sense. I've worked at enterprise companies. I can tell you, you're not missing out on anything other than maybe some job security. I think the biggest thing
Ah,
that comes there is
exactly.
too many taxes and some job security. That also today I'm not sure that is the case. So I think you'll be fine. Don't FOMO in. That said, sit for placements. If it's just prepping a bit, it's fine. Good to have a backup in case this doesn't convert. But in
Right.
case you have both the offers, I would for sure go for the Irish offer, as long as they're matching what you're getting from a Google or a TV show, which I'm sure they will. Like it's a remote startup. So. All right. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything for me?
The thing is, I had a question to ask. Like I am, for the last 2.5 months, I've been learning about Web3 very heavily and learning through blogs, because I decided this time that I would watch minimal amount of videos unless it's from you, because you teach amazingly in the cohort. That's my personal experience. So what I decided this time was that if I'm getting into a new tech stack or new domain altogether, then I would try to learn a lot of it by myself. So
Nice.
that was my motivation when you announced the cohort, when you announced the Web3 cohort. I had this motivation to chuck it off and start learning Web3 very heavily, not because of opportunities or just to get in front of people, nothing like that. But it's because I had a core interest in Web3 and how do blockchains and cryptocurrencies work. So
Nice.
right now I have been learning about Solidity, pumping out some smart contracts for like. Uh, I have written some 3 to 4 smart contracts. Other than that, I have learned a lot about Web3. Try to follow these innovations like zero knowledge proofs or L2 rollups that are happening currently. So,
Nice.
what would be your advice to me? Like, should I continue learning about Web3, because that is my eventual goal? That I want to go work in a Web3 company and eventually start something of my own, possibly in Web3.
Nice. First of all, kudos. Not a lot of people are usually scared of Web3, especially in college. So good to know that you're trying this out. Advice would be, yeah, I mean, basically keep your offer. It's always good to have a backup offer, else you'll be frantically worried about your job. So make sure you're overperforming here, and साथ में you're on the right path. You've built contracts now. You understand rollups. You understand L2s. Maybe try getting into a non-EVM chain, Aptos, Sui, Solana, and after you've probably done a few more contracts and build front ends for them, you understand EVM very well. Then maybe try. So EVM ETH does not sponsor. I mean, they do, but like they don't sponsor as many hackathons. Whatever is the first path to get your grant or get into a company. So non-EVM chains, the newer chains, have a lot of grants to give out. Aptos has a hackathon coming out. They have like 500,000 prizes just for India, something like that. Maybe it's not just for India, but like and Solana every 6 months has a hackathon. There are like 5 mil of prizes. So eventually get into non-EVM as well. You understand what blockchains are. You can write contracts. Solidity contracts are easier to write.
Rust
Other chains it's
contracts
much
are
harder
very
to write.
harder, right? Right.
Yeah. So try to move off to other chains now and start participating in hackathons. That's the easiest way. People who are 19, 17 are doing it and getting offers. So you're on the right path. But at the same time, keep this backup. Make sure you're not ignoring the company that you got an offer from. Sath mein, you're on the right track. Just stay motivated enough and keep going down the same path. So thank you, Chaitanya, for coming, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Bye bye.